Another episode of Seen and Heard, an entertainment interview podcast where I sit down with actors, directors, filmmakers, audiobook narrators, all kinds of people who do things to help entertain others. My name is Jim Hagan, and today I am joined by Sara Rex. Sara is an actor and a director. She enjoys directing youth theater and is getting ready to direct her first adult show in the spring. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or you know someone whose story needs to be heard, I want to hear from you. You can reach me at podcastseenandheard@gmail.com or reach out to me on social media. You'll find all those links in the description. And please, if you enjoy this, like, subscribe, leave a review, share it with someone. Let people know. All right, let's get into this conversation with Sara Rex. All right. So, we're recording because
there's no intro.
No. Well, there was. You just didn't hear it. There.
Okay.
Sara Rex.
That's me.
Okay. First question I ask everybody: how do we know each other?
Okay. Well, we know each other because you decided to move to lovely Sydney, Ohio. And you came to Encore Theater, which is it's my home theater where I grew up doing shows since I was 10. You came to one of our events. And the fun part of the story is that we were both trying to direct the same show. And I heard you talking about how you put in for the Death Trap was the show. And so I turned around and introduced myself because I also put in to direct Death Trap. And then neither one of us got to direct it.
That is true. That is the only play I've put in to direct for. I've still never directed. I probably never will. But that's okay. It's, whatever.
I keep telling you need to put in more and try to direct, but we know how you are. But that's
I don't know. I've been thinking about it lately, and I'm not confident I'd actually be a good director. I think I'd be a good teacher, but directing, I don't know if I'd be good at it. But I don't know. I could give it a try. Do something easy.
Directing and teaching are kind of the same.
Kind of, I guess. And I don't want to tell anybody, no, I don't want you in my show. So
yeah, that's the hard part.
Okay, so you are a director, you're an actor, and you direct not just adult shows, but you also direct children's shows. Which do you prefer better? Or that's a weird way to put that.
It's okay. I can elaborate off of it. So I've only fully directed youth shows on my own. And I've assistant directed adult shows, and I will be directing an adult show this upcoming spring. As of right now, and this is July of 2026, and I don't direct until spring 2027. So maybe if you ask me after that, I'll have a different thing to say. But as of now, I like directing the kids better than the adults. Most adults that I have worked with already know that this is true. Because in a weird way, the kids listen more to you they think I'm a real adult, so they listen to me more. As to where other adults don't listen to other adults, specifically because I'm a younger adult as well, which is gonna be really fun with the show I'm directing, which is specifically for people above the age of 60, because it's about a nursing home. So we'll see how that goes. But there's also a difference, like with the kids shows, of you get to see them. I mean, you get to see adults grow and stuff, especially depending on who you cast and their experience and things like that. But with youth, you get to like really watch them grow from this little seed to like really spreading their wings and doing a full opening night. And you have kids that have never, I mean, the first musical I ever directed was Finding Nemo, and the kid who played Nemo, it was his first show ever. So I got to watch him go from like little kid who had never experienced it, didn't know anything about theater, didn't know stage left, stage right, whatever, and then do a full-blown character and open a show and lead a show. I did have a stress dream the week of the show of like, what if he sees an audience all of a sudden and freaks out because he's never experienced that?
Yeah,
But he
we've all
didn't.
been
He
there.
did a great job.
Yeah,
He
that's
did a
actually what I
great
was going to
job.
ask you. Did you ever have you seen a kid just be in? I think he auditioned or she auditioned because their parents wanted them to just be more active. But then when they actually got there, they realized, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I'm sure that happens.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that happen. I thought you were going to ask me if I've seen him ever like freak out. But no, more often than not, it happens that way of where they just do it because like a group of their friends are doing it
Right.
or
Right.
they've been in dance. So dance and theater are kind of the same, whatever. They'll do it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. I want to do every show. And then they always think that I direct all of the shows.
Sure.
So then they will be like, I'm going to audition for whatever and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, that's a different director. And then they do get into a little bit of a shock because they're like, wait, I thought you did everything. Now
Right.
I have to meet another person and I have to like that kind of thing. But yeah, I've
Tell you
seen kids that have really
for adults, it's just
taken
as
to it.
stressful. Oh my gosh, I don't like that director. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy. I gotta I gotta perform for this guy. It happens. I get it.
Y-
I get it.
y- Yeah,
Kids are fun like
yeah.
that.
And kids, especially at a certain age, when they hit about the hard age, I say, which is like 11 to like 14, um, they tend to think if they've worked with you before, they have like a leg up. So then they're like, oh, well, me and Sarah have worked together. It's like the best way I can explain it is the scene that I always bring up in Waiting for Guffin when they're like, we've worked with Corky before. That's how little kids are when they come to auditions and they've done a show before. I think
Yeah.
when I watched it with you for the first time, that's what I said. I was like, oh my God, these are what little kids do. They're like, you want me to strike it? They're like, see, I know all the words. I know. I've worked with them before.
I've done
Because
this
they're
before.
like,
This isn't. Yeah.
yeah. That's what little kids' auditions are like sometimes.
So later, you just mentioned in the spring, it's a completely different show, Facility for Living. What is this one about?
Yeah. So it is about a group of 4 people who live in a nursing home. There's a terrible nurse who is clearly jaded and has had a terrible experience working in the nursing home field. Because this is kind of futuristic. So it's as if like all the government funding and all of that stuff is completely gone away. Unfortunately, I don't know how futuristic that really is anymore. But all of that's gone away. So all of the facilities, like this facility in particular, is in an old prison. And so everything's just completely like brass, bare bones, shitty. And it's these 4 characters. One's a new guy, and they come in and they start to put on plays. Actually, they do a couple of like scenes from classics that people know. So like, The Importance of Being Earnest is one of them. Yeah, that has a really sweet ending, and yeah.
So why going from youth theater to not just adult theater, but like senior adult theater? And that's a terrible thing to say. I mean, because actors are actors at the end of the day, but this is like one end of the age spectrum to the other. What made you want to do this one?
Well, for those listening who already know me, they would know that I've worked in the nursing home field for the last 2.5 years. I've worked in a few different departments, things like that. So I found this show particularly for that crowd because I was on the script reading committee. And I found it, and it was, like I said, it's really sweet. It's very funny, that kind of thing. So I am used to working with an older crowd. That's what I do. I enjoy it. And I also think, in community theater, that's probably a section that gets missed a lot in our actors. It's definitely not one that we miss in people buy tickets, but in our actors, that's what gets missed a lot because, we have the youth programs and, that kind of stuff. So I figured, why not? This is what I'm used to. I'm used to this world. And,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
That's one of the reasons I started writing years ago is I'm not as young as I used to be. And,
we know.
the leading man roles that I like to get just aren't there for me anymore because I'm just not I'm not in the age group anymore. So I started writing saying that I would create my own stuff or whatever. And it hasn't really happened, but, so, finding that Atticus Finch is rare because once you do it, you're done. Willie Loman,
Well,
there's a couple, but there aren't enough for like people who aren't into serious dramas, and especially for women either. Leading older women roles are even fewer, which is
and
unfortunate.
in this show, the big characters are the women. I think the older people are the four main older people. They are an ensemble, but the women are kind of like the heroes of the story more. And two of our friends, Michael and Nicole, have talked about how when they get older that they want to create their own nursing home because they want to be able to do all the shows that they never got to do in the nursing home. And even though they've aged out, doesn't matter. You're doing it in a nursing home. So we're going
Yeah,
to
right,
do it. So when I told them the premise of the show, they were like, that's our whole plan. Like, that's our retirement plan.
right.
And I think that's a lot of like theater people. It's like, oh, and they say that, they talk about that in the show. It's like, now's your chance. Like,
Right. I never got a chance to
it
be
doesn't matter.
Juliet. Now I'm 73 years old, but I can play a 14-year-old girl again. Yeah.
Right. Like I
Because
said, they do a
Shakespeare
scene
is
from
timeless.
Ernest, and she's
Right.
playing Cecily, and Cecily's supposed to be like this young girl, and she's being played by a 70-year-old woman. But it doesn't matter
Right.
because they're in a nursing home, so everybody's older.
Right. Right. What about acting? I'm sure I know you've been on stage.
I have. That's what I started doing. I was a very rambunctious, attention-seeking kid. So I did dance
That's
for a
where most people
while.
start.
Yeah, I did dance for a while, and then the high school did a production of Beauty and the Beast, and I cannot even tell you what grade I was in. Maybe like second or third. And my parents were like, why don't you audition? They're asking for the little kids to come do it. And fun fact, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I chickened out of actually auditioning and I
No.
left. And I told my parents I didn't want to do it. And I left.
Yeah.
And then I went to my parents and I said, this is like an hour later. And I said, I changed my mind. I want to go back. And my parents said, okay. And they said that they were having auditions until like 3:00 or something. And we got there and it was like 2:30 and everyone had left.
Right.
And my mom was like, ugh. So my mom reached out to somebody she knew and was like, well, I don't know if Sarah can still audition, but we showed back up at 2:30 and nobody was there, whatever. The director ended up calling my mom like an hour later. We were at Bob Evans and he made me sing for him over the phone while I
In
was
the
in the
restaurant?
Bob Evans. I was in the Bob Evans parking lot.
Oh, the parking lot.
And
Okay. Even then, still.
yeah, yeah, I sang all over the phone and he let me be a sugar cube and be our guest in Beauty and the Beast. And that was kind of
It's all downhill from there.
off and running. Yeah. And then I found Encore when I was 10, did 101 Dalmatians, did shows all growing up, acting like that was it. I did every musical, every play, every, anything I can do. Played the Tin Man twice. Played a lot of boys because I was a little girl with short hair and not, very well developed. So I played a lot of boys. But I just loved it. And then
Yeah.
went to Youngstown State for musical theater and just continued to do it. I stopped being on stage for a long time just because life. Um, and then I got into directing, and then just now, I think 3 summers ago, I did Parallel Lives, and that was my first time back on stage since I was like 18.
Sure.
And then just did Now and Then with you at
Hey, I was in that
Encore.
one.
Yeah, we had
Yeah,
fun.
we were in. It was fun.
And we'll see if I do any more. I don't know.
Um, Now and Then. What? Because
Yeah.
I was in it as well. What's your favorite memory of rehearsals? Yeah,
um,
I don't really either.
I don't know. It's hard. I mean, there was only 4 of us, so that's always
That's what I
fun
like.
when
I like
there's
I like a good small
yeah.
cast because then everybody gets to know each other a little bit better. We can connect better, and I just think a show is
Mhm.
better with a smaller cast. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah, and I think, with the group of people that we had, it was like the men were the more quiet ones, and then me
Yeah,
and Kim were a
right.
little more rambunctious, and then we just made Missy feel uncomfortable the whole time, so that was probably
Missy was the director.
pro
Missy, yeah, yeah. But that was
who I have known since I was 10. She gave me my start in Encore Community Theater, casted me in 101 Dalmatians, so I've known her my whole life. So yes, we very much tortured her. She also gave me one of my first assistant directing of an adult show as well.
okay.
So I've spent a lot of time with her enough that I can torture her however I see fit.
So she's been a big influence then on your theater experience, which is great. It's great to have that person.
Yeah. 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 And then we later found out we were actually distant cousins. So kind of worked out.
How it happens, I guess.
Yeah. But that show itself was a lot of fun. Um,
It
I think
was.
we put on a really great show. I mean, we had you and I have talked about this. We had very small audiences, but they were very invested, which to me matters the most because if you have an audience that's not like laughing or not reacting to anything, then it makes it harder to perform because you're like, oh,
Right.
this is really dragging. But most of our audiences were very engaged. You could hear them like gasp at certain
Yeah.
times or, things like that. Or funny anecdote from that show, specifically with the audience. Spoiler alert, your character comes back from the future to see his past self. And during the show, there's a whole like scene of you trying to convince your past self that it's you, it's him, and that you're
Like,
from the future and trying to convince him. And you say, I'm not like you. And then you pause. And I think like 90% of the performances, you heard somebody out in the audience go, I am you.
and then that's the next line. Yeah. I'm not like
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And you hear somebody in the audience go, I am. And I'm past you's girlfriend, and I'm sitting there and I'm just watching the interaction. So I have to also not giggle when I hear the people in the audience be like, I am you.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
oh, they're getting it. They're getting it.
You said the audiences were small. I mean they weren't. We didn't sell out. No, of course not. But I wouldn't say they were small. The thing is with a show like Now and Then, it's not a name that everybody knows. But a show like Now and Then, it has its funny moments, but it's really like it's got an emotional center to it, and those are the shows that I'm drawn to. I'm not necessarily a comedy guy, though I can do comedy. I like the shows that have a heart. I like the shows that have a meaning. Because I mean, we're talking about nostalgia and second chances. That's kind of what the show is about, and it really made me think about my life and what I've done. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You're on the younger side, but same thing because you've been in theater for so long, you can see the things that have changed about yourself.
Yeah. I think they, um, talked about this with our show, but a lot of other shows too, is the way we do it at Encore is the adult shows have 2 weekends. Lots of times, especially with a show like Now and Then, our audiences get bigger the second weekend because
Right.
people start to hear it and they're like, oh, I didn't know that's what that was about, or, things like that. Um, we had a lady who, a friend of mine's mom, somebody I did theater with growing up, her mom came and saw the show, talked to me and you extensively after the
Yeah.
show,
Right.
because she was kind of in like a spot in her life of deciding what she was going to do next and things like that. And she was like, maybe I'll see it a second time to like see if it gives me some kind of like something to go off of. And she did come back and see it a second time. And she talked about that feeling of like, okay, because that shows like the two, the fork in the road, which how could it end up if you do it one way, how it can end up the other way kind of thing. And she came and saw it a second time just because she wanted to like really get anything
Yeah.
else from the
Right.
story that she could get. And she said it was great both times.
But that's kind of the beauty of life is there is a fork in the road. We see it every day of our lives. But the thing is, we have to make a choice, and we don't actually know what's going to happen on the other side. We guess and we worry and whatever. And a show like Now and Then kind of puts that into perspective and makes you think that, you know what, live the life you're living, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, you get to see how each one would end. Now in our show, it kind of ends in the very sweet way of they still, the couple still finds their way back to each other. But I always think my character, as the younger female, you're the one who initially comes back to essentially change their story, but younger female is the one who actually changes the course. Younger you was going to keep the same story as to where younger of your wife, me, decides to change the story versus, him actually doing it, which is what I liked about playing her.
It's a sweet show. I'm glad I did it.
I'm very glad I did it.
Yeah. And not for nothing, we both won awards at the season end banquet or whatever. Yeah. So, that's always nice.
we must have done okay.
We must have done all right. Acting versus directing. So. What do you prefer?
I don't think I can pick. I don't think you can. They're so different. Yeah, I think for a long time I was really scared to get back on stage. So it was just easier to go straight to like directing because I was like, okay, that's a little easier in my mind. Right. But now that I have been back on stage, I don't know if I want to go a long time without doing that again.
Sure. Like to hear that.
But I love directing too. And with doing youth shows, that's something I always want to stay close to is the youth. Because I think that's really important is growing the kids, even if it's the kids that are just going to do it one time, it's just a one-off thing that they're going to do, I think being able to stand in front of all these people and do a whole performance is a life skill that every kid needs to know how to do. Just because that's just, you're going to have to present and be in front of people. I also think the kids that really like it and that have a passion for it and that want to learn, I want to give them a good experience. I want to give them a good base of, what to start with, because if they want to go into college and further, you want to start with that good base of just the basic theater structure and things like that. So that's really important. I think I want to stay close with the youth no matter what.
Right. Now, you're saying it's great. It's great for the younger kids, and I'm not saying I'm old, but I'm older. And when I was coming up in the 80s, when I was in elementary school and middle school, like I don't think that was an option. Like, if it was, nobody told me about it. Like, we had school plays. Like in third grade, I played like Abraham Lincoln or something. But it wasn't like a theater experience. It was a classroom thing. Um, I didn't realize that youth theater was a thing. So like, I didn't actually start. Like, my first stage experience was high school, and then I was away for a long time. It just wasn't available back in the day. I'm glad that it's around now. It's just, I think it's better.
There's not, I mean, not every community theater has a youth program.
Right.
I learned that with like being a part of Okta and things like that. Like, not everybody does have that. Encore's lucky enough that we've had it for years. We've had a family that's donated for, I mean, I know plenty of people whose kids are now in the youth program, who started in the youth program at Encore. I don't know when our first one is. I'm sure Missy wouldn't have known. But we've had it for so long. We do 3 shows a year, normally 2 musicals and 1 play. In the more recent years, we've tried to make one of the shows more for the older kids and one more for like younger kids. That way you can kind
Oh,
of
that's
hit
great.
all ages. And the older kids who really are starting to like grow a passion for it and maybe want a future with it can do things that like have a little more substance that they can really grow and learn and that kind of thing with versus, just doing the musicals about a duck or something like that, which is what I did growing up. Which those are fun too, but um yeah, and we've been really lucky that we've had that program forever.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about children's shows. So what, or the youth shows.
Mhm.
Sorry, I keep saying children, but they are youth shows because even 14, 15-year-olds are youths. Um,
Correct.
so we're gonna take an ad break. Do you have access to the chat? Can you see the chat?
You're gonna make me read an ad?
I'm gonna have you read an ad because all the
Oh, there
podcasts
it
have
is.
big sponsors. I do not have a sponsor, so I write my own ads. So this is a fake ad, and you're gonna read it in your best ad, announcer voice.
Yeah,
Okay, and it's
yeah, and
just for
I know
fun.
you don't want me to pre-read it, like, who pre-read it? Somebody started to read it before they, did their
It's all
thing.
good. I now know. Okay. So, best announcer voice.
Oh,
There's your ad.
this is actually probably a good idea. Okay. This episode is brought to you by the Backstage Buddy program, helping young performers remember their lines, find their props, put their costumes on, and discover that theater is just as much about supporting each other as it is being in the spotlight. The Backstage Buddy program. We do that with the younger kids and the older kids.
Because every great actor was once the nervous kid backstage.
I don't
All
see
right.
that
Anyway.
part.
No,
You
that's just
didn't?
for me.
Oh, you gave
That's just for me.
yourself a line?
Yeah, I'm an actor. I got to be part of it as well.
You chose to be the interviewer, not the interviewee, okay?
I
Stay in
did.
your lane.
That is my fault. So what makes a good director?
I think what makes a good director. Yes.
Well, no, I'm just saying because not that I'm going to be a director. 'Cause, like, I know what I see in a director that I like. I love organization. I love a director that knows what he or she wants and doesn't. I did a show once and the director did not give us blocking at all. He says, I'm gonna like there's a couple spots I want you guys to be in, but for the most part, you guys do all the blocking. And like at first I was like, oh, that's pretty exciting. Cool. I get to move. But then what happens is everybody just pretty much stands still. So I know I need a director to push me as well as an actor.
Yeah, I think, well, here's the thing. I think every actor is going to tell you they want something specific in a director. Um, and I do think the way an actor works is a little different than everybody. I mean,
Sure.
I even notice that when I'm on stage with other people. But for me personally, and the way I try to direct and the way I like to be directed is I like a director who has a full vision, um, of their show. this is
Hmm.
how I want the story to be portrayed. This is how I want these characters to feel. This is, I'm not against I want my actors to find their character,
Right.
but me as the director, I at least already have kind of my own thoughts as to what the character is going to feel, why they feel it, kind of a little bit of their backstory, that kind of thing. But I always am open to conversation with my actors because sometimes they see something that I don't in their character. And I think that's important as a director. Like, yeah, you're the director, but also you want your actors to participate in the creation of the story. Um, so I want them to have their own take. But I think as a director, you should have a full-fledged, vision of what you want your story to tell. Um,
Yeah.
and then I like to give my actors blocking for the most part. I give them, with the kids, you obviously have to be a little bit more regimented
Sure.
just because they don't know. With adults, I like to give them a little bit more free reign. Um, and I'll let them kind of move around as they see fit. Unless I'm like, okay, this looks really terrible. Please don't ever do that again. Um,
That's actually how
but
I
I think,
work. Like during the
yeah.
first read through, during the blocking read throughs, where we're just finding our spots. If the director has me sitting and I feel like I should be standing, I'm gonna stand, and I'm gonna continue to do the thing I think is right until the director tells me not to. And for the most part, I've had a lot of success. Not that I have great instincts or anything, but it just, if it feels right for the actor, I think that makes it easier for the director.
Mhm.
Am I wrong?
No, yeah. It makes our job 10 times easier. Sometimes depending on who you work with and why you work with them, sometimes it makes my job as the director basically non-existent half the time because I can just be like, oh, that'll be all right. Um, but you do have people who, you know, will take it too far or not enough or whatever. Um, but yeah, I want my actors to have their own instincts, even with the kids. I mean, I've seen some of them who have grown. I see their instincts come up, and I tell them, just do it. Just do it. If you
Just
have
do
that
it. Yeah.
instinct, just do it. If I don't like it, I'll tell you. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, especially with the kids, at the end of the day, their instincts are, as anybody doing a show for the first time kind of thing, it's such a small, minute thing that they'll do that in their head is so big. Half the
Mhm.
time it's like, it's so small that I don't even recognize it, but it's them following their own instinct anyway. And so even if it's a tiny little move, it's like, just do it. Um,
Sure.
I had one actor who I've worked with a few times, a younger one, and I've really gotten to see her grow throughout a few of the shows. And one of the ones that I wasn't directing her in, I was just watching her in, um, she she was a parrot in the show, and the curtain got stuck. It was opening, and it got stuck, covering her up, and and she was the next line, and she was this little parrot, which was really cute. And her instinct immediately was just to like take her cute little parrot paws and move over the curtain and say her little line and bop her little head and then bop right back behind that curtain like nothing happened. And I was like, there it is. She
There it
just,
is.
okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how and I was like, okay, you can see that like growing in them, those instincts of like, okay, the magic of live theater, something goes wrong. What do I do now? Got to figure it out.
What can an actor do that'll drive you crazy though? Sure, I don't know. I know I've been on stage with some people that you kind of like, you gotta find your place, man.
Um, I'll tell you, you experienced me watching a show one time with a youth that I had worked with before, and no shade to any other director. I don't know this director. I'm sure they're great, fantabulous, whatever. And the show was good. Um, but they had her holding something in her hands like the entire show. and it drove me up a freaking wall because I'm like, stop having her hold this pad of paper in her hands the whole time, because all she's doing is holding this pad of paper. She's singing a song and holding the pad of paper, or she's having a beautiful moment with another character and she's holding this pad of paper. Get the pad of paper out of her hands. Let her
Yeah.
be a person, because most people, when they talk, use their hands, or they do get the pad of paper out of her hands. It drove me freaking nuts because I'm like, let them. No normal human being walks around every day holding this pad of paper like this.
Sure. Now
That drives me.
that could be the director not telling the actor to put it down, but it could also be the actor not feeling comfortable enough to put it down, using that prop as a crutch, as it is a safety thing, which I've seen. And if it's a youth show, that kind of makes sense, I guess, because they're a little scared, a little frightened. But
that's
at some
where
point, you got to
the
let it go.
director teaches them. You have to let that go. You can't use it. That's what I think I said to you was, oh, that's a habit I'll have to break if I ever work with that, because then it's a habit. Or same with hands in pockets. I see adults doing it.
Yeah, that bothers me too.
It's a terrible habit that you have to break if kids start, doing theater right away. Same with like the standing, which you disagree a little bit on this one, but I will stand firm on this one. Having the kids not stand straight on when they're having conversations, giving them the turning out towards the audience kind of thing. That's a habit you have to start early on.
I agree with the showing out. I get it, but sometimes it's just natural to be face to face. I mean, it's what you would do in a natural situation. So that's what I'm going to do until the director tells me not to do it.
Theater is not natural.
You mentioned hands in pockets, and what bugs me more than hands in pockets is partial hands in pockets, because actors know that
just the fingers,
one or two fingers, or like half a finger,
thumb and hanging out,
and the other hand is out. Yeah, it's common because we're nervous and we don't know how to act, and it's all.
Or I don't see adults do it as much because they've probably broken the habit, but kids, the Peter Pan thing with the hands on the hips. And it's great if you're playing Peter Pan and you have your hands on your hips.
Sure.
And I have that a lot with young girl actors, because most of them have been in dance, and dance is, hands on your hips. And I'm like, how many times during a full conversation are you standing with your hands on your hips, just chit-chatting away with somebody? Though somebody did call me out on it once. They're like, why do you stand with your hands on your hips? And I was like, oh God, everything I just told all those kids was a lie.
Well, here we are telling actors that they're not very good at their jobs, and so we're going to get dragged in the comments, I'm sure. But it's all good. I'm sure I've done plenty of things on stage that have made many people cringe. So I'm part of the problem. I'm not saying I'm a solution.
Hey, and I can vouch for the fact that you've done things on stage that have made people cringe.
Right. That are should not.
Given that I have saved your butt with a few big lines before.
Okay. We did one show together. All of a sudden you're my savior.
Okay. Anyway. I have to admit that one save I had was really good.
Yeah. There was a section in Now and Then where I don't know, there was 4 or 5 lines back and forth between you and I that I never said the same in rehearsals or in the shows. It was a different show every single night, and there was one I just couldn't get. And
it was the only one that makes an appearance in the second act. Like the exact line makes an appearance back in the second act. And so I'm like, we have to get this. And I felt bad that night that I saved it and brought it back in, because you came off stage and felt so bad, and you're like, I can't believe I did that. And I came off stage and I felt so good, because I was like, did you see, I don't know how I came up with that so quickly. That was so great.
Well, that's the beauty of theater. Being able to trust your fellow actors is a fantastic thing. And that comes with the rehearsals and the chemistry. It's great. Thank you
That's
very
the
much,
fun
Sara.
part.
Really quick, what's a piece of advice you would give a first time director, someone who's never directed before, and they're going into whether it's a youth show or an adult show? What's something that has to be, I don't know, an important piece of advice?
Two things. And I've said this
Okay.
to one other person not that long ago who was talking about directing a show, but they'd never done it and blah, blah, blah. And they didn't know about this or that and everything. And I said, find the people who are really good at lights or are really good at set design or something like that. Find those people that are really good at that. Trust them. Say, here's my vision. Here's what I want. Let them do it. I mean,
Oh,
you obviously want to say in it, but find people who are good at those things that you're not necessarily good at. Let them do their thing. I think that alleviates so much stress off of me as the director to figure out lighting and figure out sound and all that stuff. And
and
then
you can
that
just
lets somebody
concentrate on
else
the actors. Sure.
who enjoys it and is good at it do what they're good at, you know? Trust them, let them do their thing. Obviously, have your opinion and, have an idea of what you want, but find people who are good at the things that you're not, let them do their thing, and trust your instincts.
All right. Perfect.
Trust your instincts. Know what you want, go with it. Know it's yours. It's your show. If you want to have 12 blue flowers on the stage and you have a reason why you want those 12 blue flowers and you want to stand strong on those 12 blue flowers, you stand strong on it.
There you go. There you go. Good advice from Sara Rex.
I'm full of it.
Hey, Sara, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, where are you comfortable with them reaching out? Now, again, I have not many followers, not many whatever, so probably isn't going to happen. But if somebody wanted to say hi to you, well, where would they do that at?
www.sararexisthebest.com. Just kidding.
I will link that.
I'm on Instagram. I don't even know what my Instagram name is. I think it's Sara M Rex, something like that. And then I'm on the Facebook. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
All right.
If you
And
need
at
any
Encore Theater,
business,
stop by.
yeah, any business inquiries, I will send to my lawyer. Um, I am working on my stand-up special. Just kidding, I'm really not, but
Looking forward to that.
I could. I am pretty funny.
And I think you should. You are very funny. Before we wrap up, I've got a speed round of questions.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I was ready.
Okay. Do you prefer opening night or closing night?
Opening, closing sad. I cry every time.
Closing sad? Okay. I can get that.
Every time I cry. I'm a crier.
Do you prefer summer or winter?
More fall, but summer because I don't want to deal with the snow.
I don't want to pull out all my coats and hats. Cake or pie?
Cake. Fruit shouldn't be heated up. That's not a dessert. I have hot takes on all of these.
Can you do any impressions? Like, I don't think I've ever heard you do any impressions except of your own family, but do you do impressions?
Those are pretty good. I mean, if you know my family, those are pretty good. No. I can't think of anybody.
No.
I feel
All
like I
right.
could do a Donald Trump with my hand. But
But it's
I
just a
don't
hand.
know. No, I gotta do the voice.
Okay. And last one, vampires or werewolves?
Not into fairy tales.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're more of a fairy tale person than vampire or werewolves. Well, let's go.
I guess vampire. I was Team Edward back in the day.
Oh my gosh, I guess that's where that question comes from, isn't it? That's from
Team Edward instead of Team Jacob.
Gotcha.
But he's Batman now, so.
All right, Sara, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you doing this with me.
You're welcome.
Sara, thank you for hanging out with me. I had a great time, and I hope everyone listening got to know a little bit more about the person behind the director's chair. If you'd like to keep up with Sara and her upcoming projects, I'll have links to her social medias in the description. If you enjoyed this conversation, Seen and Heard is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes feature actors, directors, filmmakers, writers, musicians, and other creative people sharing their stories behind the work. So thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who loves the arts. So until next time, thank you for listening to Seen and Heard.